The ledger she never showed them reveng with Yausra rewritten script hook. My name is Audrey. I'm 34 years old. 3 weeks ago my aunt accidentally sent me a video. No message, no warning. Just a video file sitting on my phone like a ticking clock. I pressed play expecting nothing. What I got was my entire family laughing at me at a dinner I wasn't at while I was at my kitchen table, working late paying their bills. My brother called me a pathetic failure, my sister laughed along like it was the funniest thing she'd heard all year, and my mother silenced the whole table with one sentence: she should be grateful. At least the money gives her something to feel useful about. The whole table broke open. I sat in my dark kitchen and waited for the tears to come. They didn't. Something colder came instead, something quiet. Like a spreadsheet that finally has both columns filled in, I reached for my laptop, and I started doing the one thing I'm actually good at. By the time the next payment was due, every single person at that table would understand exactly what they had been laughing at. And exactly what it was about to cost them. Welcome back to calm drama stories, where the quietest person in the room turns out to be the one holding everything together. If you've ever been the dependable one that nobody bothers to thank, this story is for you. Drop a comment and subscribe. Part 1: Who I am. You should know who I am before you judge what I did. I'm a bookkeeper. I keep the books for a hardware store, a vet clinic, and a little bakery on Main Street that would have shut down 2 winters ago if I hadn't caught what the last guy missed. Nobody handed me a single client. I earned everyone by never being off by a penny. Numbers don't lie to me. Numbers have never once laughed at me behind my back. People are a different story. I have one weakness, and it isn't softness, it's the opposite. I carry things before anyone asks. A bill comes due, I pay it. A problem shows up, I fix it quietly alone at midnight at this same kitchen table. I never learned how to need anybody. So I made myself the one everybody needed. I told myself that was strength. I was wrong. Part 2: How it started. 6 years ago my father died fast, the way the strong ones sometimes go. He left behind the house I grew up in and a mortgage he'd been quietly losing the fight against. The bank sent the kind of letters you don't show people. My mother couldn't qualify to refinance. She hadn't worked in 30 years. My brother Wade's credit was a disaster. My sister Megan had no income at all, so the bank looked at the four of us and found exactly one name that made the math work: mine. I sat across from a loan officer and I bought the house. My name on the deed, my name on the mortgage, my signature on every page that mattered. My mother got to stay in her home without packing. A single dish, that's what I wanted. But here's what nobody wanted to say out loud: the house wasn't really hers anymore, it was mine. And for 6 years, not one person in my family ever asked whose name was on the title. They didn't want to know, they just said Audrey handled the house thing, the way you'd say someone called a plumber, and I let them have that story. I was the footnote who paid the mortgage on the home where they all gathered to laugh at me. Part 3: The water finding cracks after the house. The rest came like water finding every crack. Wade's truck loan when his business collapsed and the bank was about to take the one thing he needed to work. My niece and nephew's school tuition, because Megan said they couldn't possibly change schools mid-year. Megan's rent after her divorce, she just needed a year to land on her feet. That year became 4. And my mother, the steady drip. Electric bills, medication, property taxes on the house I already owned. Every first of the month, same ritual: coffee, spreadsheet, click transfer confirm, Wade, Megan, school, utilities, mom. I never made a show of it, never posted about it, never once said the words out loud. I just did it the way you water a plant, except the plant kept growing teeth. Part 4. The night everything changed, I had never once added up the total. 6 years of transfers, and I'd never highlighted the whole column and let the sum appear at the bottom. Some part of me knew that number would be a mirror. And I wasn't ready to see what was in it, until the night my family told me on video that I should be grateful for the privilege. I opened a fresh spreadsheet. I went back 6 years, statement by statement, every single transfer. No rounding up, no editorializing, just the truth line by line, and then I let the spreadsheet do what spreadsheets do. The total appeared at the bottom of the screen. I'm not going to say the number isn't really the point. But I'll tell you this: it was a house several times over. It was the retirement I didn't have. It was bigger than I feared, and I had feared a lot. I didn't cry about the money. Money is just numbers. Numbers don't hurt me. What broke me sitting there with that total glowing on the screen was the time. 6 years of Friday nights I'd said no to, vacations I never took, dates I'd cancelled, because the first of the month always came. I cried for about 4 minutes, then I wiped my face with the back of my hand the way my father used to, and I was done because crying is just a feeling, and a feeling isn't a plan. Part 5. The test I ran one small test first. I paid Megan's rent 3 days late, on purpose, just 3 days, a nudge to see how fast the warmth turned. My mother called within the hour, not Megan, my mother. The manager of the family's accounts payable. Audrey, what is going on with you? Megan's landlord called her 3 days late. The whole family is talking about how strange you've gotten, cold, distant. Ever since your little clients, you've decided you're too good for us. I held the phone away from my ear and just looked at it. 3 days, 6 years of being on time to the penny, and the first time I'm 3 days late, I'm cold, I'm difficult, I think I'm better than them. Money was never the problem with you, Audrey, she said, landing it like she'd rehearsed it. Your attitude is. I told her I'd take care of it. I hung up, and I sat very still in the quiet, so I did the math on what 6 years of perfect, silent, on-time payment had purchased me. The total came to nothing, not a thank you. Not a defense at a dinner table, not even a hello before asking for money, nothing but the standing right to keep being on time. That was the night I went to the file cabinet. Part 6, the deed bottom drawer, back of the hanging files. A thick folder I hadn't opened in 6 years, the closing packet from when I bought the house. I spread it flat on the kitchen table under the warm yellow light, no blue phone screen this time, and I read every page. The deed of conveyance, grantee Audrey M. Offit, the mortgage note, borrower of record Audrey M. Offit, my name on every load-bearing page. I ran my thumb down the deed, the house everyone called Mom's house. The house where they gathered to laugh at me, the house my mother told the whole town she'd held onto through her own strength. That house was legally, completely, undeniably mine. I had been the owner and the tenant of my own family's contempt at the same time. I'd paid for the roof they sat under while they decided I was a failure. I clicked my pen, set it down on the deed, and I felt the last of the fog burn off. Part 7, the plan. I made a plan. 4 parts, I wrote each one down so I wouldn't soften at the last second. 1. Sign the house back to my mother. Let her carry the mortgage she'd been pretending to carry for 6 years. 2. Every voluntary payment stops on the first. The truck, the rent, the tuition, all of it. 3. Each of them gets an envelope, their complete record, every dollar, every month, 6 years. 4. This one I underlined twice. I will not argue. I'll say my piece, set down the envelopes and walk out the door. Fighting keeps you tied to people. I was going to balance the account and leave. And the calendar, bless it, had already chosen the day. The next payment was due on the 1st, so was my mother's 60th birthday party, the party I was paying for. The party where the whole family, half the town, and the minister would gather to celebrate Lorraine Offit holding her family together through hard times. They had built me a stage, a room full of witnesses, a microphone. They expected me to play the Grateful Daughter one last time. I decided to keep the stage. I just changed the script. Stay with me because the way this lands in person is everything. If you've ever had to set a boundary with people who only respect you when you're useful, you'll want to see this. Subscribe so you don't miss it. Part 8, the envelopes. The night before the party, I sat at my kitchen table. 4 envelopes, heavy manila, one for each of them. Into my mother's, the new deed, the attorney's letter and her ledger, 6 years, every dollar. Into Wade's, his column, the truck, the insurance, the quiet loans. Into Megan's, 4 years of rent, a dining set's worth of what do you think, and the same final date. I sealed each one and wrote the name on the front in my steady bookkeeper's hand. My pen moved without a tremor. 1 click of the cap between each signature, the only sound in the quiet kitchen. I turned off the light and went to bed, and for the first night in 3 weeks I slept the whole way through. Part 9, the party. The church hall was full by 4 o'clock, folding tables, sheet cake under fluorescent lights, a banner that said 60 and fabulous with the glitter already shedding onto the floor. My mother held court near the cake in a new dress, telling her favorite story to anyone who'd listen. Well, after Frank passed, somebody had to keep this family standing. I just did what I had to do. She caught my eye across the room. Gave me the nod, get ready, you're up soon. Wade was already loose and grinning. The day before, when I'd come to help set up, he'd pointed at me in front of the younger cousins and said, "Careful, don't upset the ATM." She's been touchy lately. They'd laughed, uncertain laughs, the kind you do when you're not sure if something's a joke, but in the corner I'd noticed my cousin Haley, 19 years old, home from her first year of college. She'd seen it too. Her face flinched. She followed me outside and said, "Aunt Audrey, are you okay? They shouldn't talk to you like that." She was the first person in that family in 6 years to ask me if I was okay, not what I could pay for. Not whether the caterer was booked, just "Are you okay?" It nearly undid the whole plan. I squeezed her hand and said, "Come find me after I say my few words." When the cake was cut, my mother tapped her glass. The room went quiet. "I think my daughter Audrey wants to say a few words," she said warmly, waving in my direction. "She's the one who put all this together. She's good at taking care of things." Polite applause. Every face in that room was waiting for the grateful daughter. I stood up. I felt perfectly, strangely calm, the way I feel when a long set of books finally balances. I didn't have a glass in my hand, I had the envelopes. I clicked my pen once, the only sound in the room. "Thank you all for coming to celebrate my mother," I said, and I meant it. I let the warmth of that settle for just a moment, then I picked up the first envelope. "Mom, this is for you." I walked it over and placed it in her hands. "It's the deed to the house. It's been in my name for 6 years, since I bought it from the bank after Dad died, so you wouldn't lose it. Tonight I'm signing it back to you. The house is yours again, free and clear of me." The confused murmur started, my mother's smile froze. "Along with the mortgage," I added gently, "which I've been carrying every month for 6 years. The papers inside explain how to assume it. You'll want to call the bank on Monday." Then I picked up the next two. "Wade, Megan," I set theirs on the table. "Inside is a complete record of what I've paid for this family. Every bill, every transfer, every month going back 6 years to the penny. I didn't add anything, I didn't round up, I just wrote down what's true." The murmuring was spreading, aunts leaning into uncles, neighbors going still. Wade had the envelope open, his face draining as he read his own number. Megan hadn't moved. My mother stared at the deed in her lap like it might bite. I kept my voice level, almost kind. "For 6 years I was told I should be grateful, so I just wanted everyone here, everyone who loves this family, to see the record, to see clearly who was carrying whom." My mother came up out of her chair so fast it scraped back and tipped. The clatter was the loudest sound in the room. "How dare you," she said, her voice cracked high and ugly across the hall. "How dare you do this to me at my own party in front of everybody? You've always been like this, Audrey, jealous, dramatic, desperate for attention." The deed slid off her lap and onto the floor. She didn't look at it. "You think a stack of papers makes you better than your own family?" Wade was on his feet too, envelope crushed in his fist. "A few receipts and you think you're better than us? You always thought you were better than us." Megan had found the rent total. She was crying, the panicked kind, not the sorry kind. The whole room was frozen, every neighbor, every cousin. The minister, all of them watching my mother scream the word grateful across a church fellowship hall on her 60th birthday. I never raised my voice, not once. I stood in the center of all that noise and felt the stillest I have ever felt in my life. I waited until my mother ran out of breath. Then I said quietly, so they had to go silent to hear me, "I'm not asking for thanks. I'm not asking for an apology. I'm just done paying to be your punchline." An old man near the back, someone who'd known my father, said it just loud enough to carry. "Lord." The pathetic one was the one holding the whole thing up. And I watched it move across the room, face by face, the truth landing where the laughing used to be. Haley crossed the floor and came and stood beside me. She took my hand. I set the last envelope on the table, the one with the final dates. Everything stopped. I didn't slide it dramatically, I just placed it. The way I place anything when I'm done with it. Then I turned to the room, not to my mother, not to Wade, to all of them. "Thank you again for coming to celebrate, Mom. I mean that, 60 years is a lot." I picked up my coat. "Payments stop on the 1st. The house is yours now, Mom. I hope it's everything you've been telling everyone it was." My mother opened her mouth, but nothing came out that she'd want a room full of witnesses to hear. I buttoned my coat. Haley walked me to the door, past tables of people who weren't laughing anymore. Outside, the cold hit clean and good. I got in my car and I drove home. I didn't slam a single door on my way out of that hall. I just finally stopped holding one open. Epilogue. After the fallout came fast, my mother called the bank Monday morning and found out what the house actually cost. She couldn't carry it alone, so she refinanced, cut her spending for the first time in her adult life, and stayed in the house, paying her own way. At 60, Wade sold the truck within a month. Turns out he'd been able to make the payments himself for years. He just never had to. Megan moved to a smaller apartment and got her first real job in years, front desk at a dentist's office. The story they told, of course, was that I'd abandoned my family. I didn't defend myself to anyone. The ledger said everything I needed to say. When an aunt called to lecture me about forgiveness and being the bigger person, I didn't argue. I just said this isn't something I'm looking for input on, and I wished her a good night. It's a complete sentence. I recommend it. Life got quieter, then it got good. I took on 2 new clients. I drove up to the lake for a whole weekend and didn't bring a single spreadsheet. I'd forgotten what my own time felt like in my hands. The one relationship I kept was Haley. She calls me now not when she needs something, just to talk. Sometimes she drives over and we make dinner and she tells me about school. It goes both ways, the way it's supposed to. That's the only ledger I keep with family anymore. The kind where both columns actually fill in. Closing, I learned something at that party I wish I'd known at 28. Generosity is not a debt the people you love get to collect from you forever. And the day you finally sit down and balance the account, you find out very quickly who valued you and who only ever valued the money.